What's up everybody, and welcome back to our world where we previously built the kingdom you see before you now. But in this video, we're leaving the kingdom of Colorum to build a new settlement in this world. So let's get right into it, and together, let's build a village. First off, we need to clear out some land. So I got to work terraforming using World Edit, and I carved this giant landmass in half and created a river. I went around and fixed it all up manually with moss blocks and grass blocks, and I also used World Edit again to fix the entire landmass, clear out the trees, and smooth out the land. We're also going to be incorporating the island you see to the right in this village, so you can tell it's going to be pretty massive and we have a lot of work to do. After I smoothed out the land, I added in some roads with coarse dirt and packed mud, and I also used white wool to map out where our bridges are going to be. I came back in to tidy some of the land up manually, and then I got to work on the bridge that you see, leaving the village and heading towards the kingdom. I want this to be a pretty big and significant bridge, and large enough for carriages to pass through, because I imagine that merchants and travelers will use this bridge to trade their goods between the village and the kingdom. I played around with the block palette that I wanted to use for this bridge for quite a while before finally deciding on dark oak planks and dark prismarine blocks. After the bridge was complete, I came back in and I terraformed the land a bit more by adding some hills and carving out some smaller rivers to make the land fertile enough for crops to grow. A lot of this area is going to be farmland because these villagers need somewhere to get their food from. I really like incorporating rivers in my farms to make everything seem a lot more natural and realistic. I want our town to kind of rise up in the center to make it feel even more grand, so I used World Edit again to make giant spheres of sand everywhere, and then I used commands to turn it all into moss blocks and make it seem more natural. I use the word natural a lot, but I guess it's a pretty big part of my building style, so you're probably going to be hearing it a lot throughout this series. Once the second river was in place, I came back in and I made the road seem a bit more pretty. I also added 2 small bridges using spruce slabs, dark oak fences, and trap doors. Once the bridges were in place, I went to the other side of the area and added in another river for more farmland. I used yellow wool to map out where I wanted my crops to be. At first, I turned all of those yellow blocks into farmland and wheat, but I come back in later to add some beetroots just to mix it up a little bit. I also toyed around there with a birch tree, but I apparently didn't like it and tore it down very quickly. Once that farmland was in place, I came in and I mapped out our first house of the village. Well, technically this house is going to be right outside the village. I imagine that a wealthy farmer lives here, so I wanted it to be big and grand. At first, I used calcite, but I came back in later and I changed it to bricks and terracotta. I also used deep slate tiles, dark oak, and spruce planks and logs. I really like this block palette and I think it will go really well with our village. I'm so happy to be building in this world, and I really hope all of you are enjoying this series. By the way, I plan on making this world downloadable for all of you to download it for yourselves and explore. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for whenever I do announce the world download. I wanted to make some really nice custom trees, so I used some spruce blocks and a variety of leaves. And then I used World Edit to rotate that one tree and copy and paste it all over the place. I do plan on coming back in and adding more varieties of trees, but I honestly spend way too much time trying to make trees look perfect. So for right now, I just used the one to copy and paste it all over the area. I like pumpkins, so I also added a small pumpkin patch outside this house. I think it looks really cute. I really like how it turned out actually, and I really love this view next to the house where you'll be able to stand in this pumpkin patch and overlook the entire village. Well, for right now, all you see is a big patch of grass blocks and moss, but once everything's done, it's gonna look really nice. Anyways, I finally came back to this area and I mapped out where this road of coarse dirt and packed mud is going to be. These are going to be some smaller homes where farm workers and gardeners could live. I wasn't entirely sure what block palette that I wanted to use for the villages yet, but I did know that I wanted the roofs to have similar colors to make everything feel very cohesive. Before building the houses though, I wanted to get the farmland done, so using World Edit, I was able to do this very quickly. I used a mixture of wheat and carrots just to add a bit more variety instead of seeing a big field of wheat. I think it looks a lot nicer than just seeing all of that yellow. Like I said before, these houses are going to be smaller just for farm workers and gardeners to live in. That doesn't mean I want them to be run down or anything, I just want them to be smaller and kind of simple layouts. I eventually decided on using mainly dark prismarine, weathered copper, and warped planks to keep a variety in the color but still maintain a sense of unity for these houses. I really am liking this block palette, but I am a very indecisive person, and honestly, I'll probably come back at some point and add a few different blocks. You can already see in this footage that I played around with a lot of different blocks before deciding not to use them and switching them back to other blocks. And of course, you see me here changing out a lot of the spruce to other types of wood. I think this looks a lot better than it did before because it adds variety and contrast to our village. Once the houses were finally complete, I came in and I added these cool torches using hoppers and campfires to mark out where some dirt paths are going to be leading off of the main road and down to the edge of the water. We'll probably build a larger port on the other side of the town later in the series, but for now, I just want this to be a smaller docks area for all of our villagers to use to trade with others and explore the world for themselves. I finished the docks area off by adding in some colorful tiny little boats using wool and a variety of wood blocks. And then I came back into the houses and I added some small gardens, as well as mixing a lot of ferns and tall grass into the farmland to make it feel even more natural than before. Using hay blocks and fences, I also made these haystacks that you can see in the farmlands now, and I added a last tiny house near the docks. I'm so happy with how everything in this episode turned out, and I hope all of you are as excited as I am to finish this village. Comment below any ideas of things you'd like to see added to this village, and also comment any name ideas that you might have. I really do want to make this world available for all of you to download and explore for yourselves, but it's not ready just yet, so be sure to subscribe to stay updated for when I announce that world download. Everything that you saw in this video took over 24 hours for me to build, so if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like it. I appreciate all of your support so much, and I'll see all of you in the next video.